That Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the 2026 Farmers Insurance Open Research Course Preview. Early picks, we're going to break it all down for you in the comment section. Give me your first thought winner of who's going to win at Torrey Pines this week. Additionally, sub to the channel, smash the like, and turn on the notifications on YouTube. I was sick this Wednesday, so I did not go live, but I will, planning at least, unless I'm sick again, which would suck. But 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Mayo Media Network, Wednesday evening. And we can do this on Wednesday evening this year because this isn't coinciding with the championship games. It's the off week for the NFL this time around, which is huge news for the Farmers because they had to amend their schedule Wednesday to Saturday each of the past 3 or 4 years, I think. But now it's back in its normal Thursday time slot. 2 courses. Everyone gets to play each of them in each of the first 2 rounds. The South course is the hard one. The North course is the easy one. Although, if there's extreme wind like there was last season, the North course can play rather difficult, as we all found out. But the Farmers Insurance Open, this might be the last year that Farmers is the sponsor. In fact, I think that it is. I don't know if this means this is going to be off the schedule, what this means for the Torrey Pines events. But this was once considered the unofficial starting point for the PGA season. Torrey Pines has lost some of its luster the past few years because of those scheduling issues, plus no Tiger and Phil. Even as most gimped up, Tiger routinely made the Farmers his debut event, making the Farmers seem more notable in general, honestly. And San Diego is one of the 38 million places that Phil considered his home, so he was always in this tournament too. Jon Rahm is another one who routinely made starts at Torrey Pines, which isn't shocking because he notched his first ever PGA Tour win at this event. He won an US Open here, but currently he's too busy halfway around the world accepting the Jon Rahm Award for Excellent Achievements in Being Jon Rahm at the Live Awards at the moment. Look it up. They gave everyone an award. It was like a participation trophy for being on Live. It was kind of ridiculous. But now with Pebble Beach in 2 weeks operating as a signature event, and then there's going to be another one at the Genesis in 3 weeks' time, the fields just don't have the same bang that they used to. And it remains solid. It's not a bad field. It's just not an amazing for a course that also doubles as a major venue, like Xander Schauffele. He's a hometown guy. He's returning to play Torrey Pines after his rib injury kept him out of the Farmers a year ago. He's joined in the field by J.J. Spaun, Justin Rose, Alex Noren, who once lost in a playoff. I think it was to J.B. Holmes. J.B. Holmes was just taking forever, and Noren lost his mind. Goddard coming off his win. He's playing this week. Alex Noren, as I mentioned. Ludwig Oberg, who won at this course last year when it was the Genesis Invitational and was first-round leader before getting sick and throwing up on the course at this tournament where he consistently fell outside of, I think, the top 30. He had a really terrible either Saturday or Sunday round, but was the first-round leader at the North course. Matt McNeely, who was second to Ludwig at the Genesis last year. Cantlay's playing. Day is playing. Kim is playing. There's also an international contingent making their debuts. We've been waiting for Marco Penge to get over his illness. Apparently he's over it, and he will be making his first PGA start as a tour member at Torrey Pines this week. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, winner of the Australian Open in December, is making the trek to California as well. He has played each of the past 2 weeks over in the Middle East, so he could have some jet lag on the go. As we're currently recording this, Patrick Reed just finished his 3rd round with a 4-shot margin right now through 3 over there at the Hero Dubai, I think it's called, over another live guy in David Puig. So that's awesome. Both Højgaards are playing this week too. But let's be real. There's one player that we're really concerned about this week. We're waiting to see, and it's Brooks. Brooks Koepka's making his first start since leaving Live. I have no clue what to expect from Brooks and his game. Over his final 9 live starts in 2025, Brooks didn't finish any better than T17 in any of them. He made 1 cut in the majors a year ago. That was a T12 at the US Open at Oakmont. And he looked completely out of sorts all year long until the DP World Tour fall season, where he finished 4th in France, and then he finished T15 at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship to end his year. So is it a skill issue? Is it a motivation issue? Is he injured? Tuning in to find this out is one of the better subplots that this tournament has had in years. Probably since Phil and Tiger had to play that final round with, I think it was Charlie Wee, like 13 years ago. Whatever that was. This is kind of intriguing. And there is one thing that Farmers still does to elevate itself. It's the course. Some people hate Torrey Pines. I am not one of those people because while I like Waialae, mainly because it provides banger finishes to the season, Torrey Pines is the real first test of the year for the players. It's not a USGA setup for the Farmers, but it's hard enough. Last year's winner, Harris English, was -8 when he won. It played tough out there. If you consider the Hawaii event and the Amex as a birdie fest preseason warm-up like I do, the Farmers remains the first true start of the PGA season. It kicks off a banger 4 weeks. We go Farmers, Phoenix, Pebble, Genesis. Then you have Brooks again playing the Cognizant for the former Honda. That's fun. Then it's API Players Valspar. Like, we're on a great run. This feels like we just had a warm up. Honestly, guys are shooting -12 in PGA West right now. That ain't happening this week. This event is split between the Torrey Pines North and South courses the first 2 days before the South hosts all the players who make the cut for the final 2 rounds. Of note, the North course is about 500 yards shorter and generally significantly easier than the South course. There's only shot length at the South course for reasons unknown. So any stats that you see this year or researching previous seasons will only be taken from the South course. And as everyone knows, I'm not someone who normally dabbles in DraftKings single round showdown contests. However, like last season, I will be injecting my account with some extra funds this week to stack the North Course Bombers each of the first 2 rounds. And I do have leftover funds from a year ago from when I won $21,000 in the first round by using this strategy. I know that tons of people use it. You got to find the right guys, but Bombers who can kind of scramble a bit playing the North Course. It didn't work out last year in the second round because there was so much wind at the North Course that I think it played more difficult for the South Course for like the first time in 10 years or something crazy like that. I looked at the weather report this year, and there's basically no wind in the forecast. So Bombers, birdie or better guys, playing the North Course is where you want to be each of the first 2 rounds. It's the only time all year that I play DraftKings Showdown because I think it's the biggest edge that you can have, and just simply not enough people take advantage of it. In fact, we might even get a little bit lucky that the North Course played so difficult in round 2 last year that guys might not stack all 6 of their players at the North Course. They might go 4-2 or 5-1. You don't want to do that. Just load up on the North Course. Hopefully you end up with Toasty and Thorbjornsen like I did, and Vince Norman, and all of a sudden, you're printing cash. All right, let's get to the course overview. As mentioned, it's 2 courses at the Farmers Insurance Open, Torrey Pines South, where they're going to play 3 rounds, 7,765 yards, POA greens, 5,000 square foot greens. There is 1 hole with water if you hit it into the ocean, and 82 bunkers littered across the property. Last year, Harris English made 5 bogeys in 3 rounds at the South course. The first 3 were all par 3s, only 3 holes that are parred over 2/3 of the time, and they're all the par 3s at the course. There's 10 par 4s, an average distance of 457 yards. Harris English didn't birdie a single par 4 on Sunday. 3 holes have a bogey rate over 27%. They're all par 4s, and 2 of them are on the back 9. 2 of those are 2 of the 50 most difficult courses on tour all year round, and that is including major championships. The par 5s, the 4 easiest holes on the course, play in a shade just under average of 600 yards. Then you go over to the North course. It's bent grass greens. The greens are slightly bigger at 6,000 yards. There's no shot tracker, no water, and only 42 bunkers. Pretty easy, honestly. The par 3s are actually the hardest part. They run an average of 215 yards. The par 4s are almost 25 yards shorter on average at 426 yards. And the par 5s are almost 60 yards shorter on average. There's 4 of them. 3 of them have an eagle rate of over 3%. 2 of them include a birdie rate over 51%. As I mentioned, it's a very rare situation for showdown players since the field alternates days. You get to cut the field in half and just use the guys at the North course. Again, Bombers are usually the path of least resistance. Bombers tend to play a little bit better at the North course than the South course, although Bombers in general do have it. Although it seems kind of strange to think about, it's just the Bombers have such an easy path to make eagles and easy birdies on those par 5s that you just kind of roll with them. 14 of the past 17 winners have posted a top 10 at this event prior to winning. Mathieu Pavon and John Rahm won their first starts in 2024 and 2017, so I suppose we need to be aware of some sort of Euro debuter in 2031, but until then, we can just go with guys who've had success here before. Scott Stallings was the other exception to that rule. That was in 2014. Torrey Pines South is the longest course in the annual PGA Tour course rotation. 12 of the past 19 winners at the Farmers finished the season inside the top 30 in driving distance. But this trend has started to swing back the other way over the past 5 years with winners like Patrick Reed, Max Homa, Harris English. Distance will help you dominate the North Course, but when the conditions and difficulty do ratchet up, a pure blend of tee to green with some hot putting is gonna be required. Very rarely do strokes gained around the green factor into the winning score, but the greens at the South Course are pretty small, and pairing an average or better short game with a big driver or great on long approaches is the true and tested method to crack the Sunday leaderboard. It's not the only path, it's just the path of least resistance. Obviously, fairways plus distance off the tee is just going to accumulate a tons of green regulation, which would be optimal, but that's pretty unfeasible for going 3 rounds at such a difficult course with the scrambling percentage hovering around 55%. If you feel like you need to put short hitters into your lineup this week, make sure they gain strokes off the tee through their accuracy and they can hit long irons. There are 6 par 4s measuring over 450 yards on the South Course. 5 of them are inside the 6 most difficult holes on the course and all played over par. As mentioned, holes 12 and 15 are 2 of the 50 toughest holes on the PGA Tour almost every single year. The driving accuracy of players who made the cut generally hovers right around 50% because both of these courses sport some of the most difficult fairways to hit every single season. Then you got the greens. Although Poana putting surfaces tend to run slower on average, the greens at the South Course run way faster because of the windy and dry expected conditions. After the 2016 renovations, there's actually a split between the putting surfaces. The North Course has switched to bent, and they're weirdly somewhat slower. Both courses still average some of the most 3 putts on average on the PGA Tour. Just because a guy has 3 feet for par, don't mean he is making it. This week, let's jump over to the rabbit hole where you're going to want to optimize your lineups this week. If you go to the tools and you go down to the DFS optimizer, once the first round DraftKings pricing is released, that is where you're going to want to go to get yourself. And you know what? Everyone watching this, don't play it and just box it out for me so I can just hammer everyone this week in the first round. You can get all of the information of both courses up here. You can take a look at the North or the South. We'll be focusing primarily on the South here. It's a Reese Jones design. It's driver heavy. It's tough off the tee. Scrambling is difficult. Putting is very difficult. 3-putt avoidance is very difficult. One of the course comps that I tend to use here for down the line type players, we'll get to it in a little bit. You can see the correlated courses at the top end: Augusta, Riviera, Quail Hollow. But I actually like looking at Mexico, Houston, and Detroit and CJ Cup to go along with those, because frankly, you just get a better sense of something like not everyone is playing at Riviera or Muirfield Village anymore because those have become signature events. That, yeah, this is going to be hard. The top end players are going to play well, but if you're just looking for guys that could pop in this tournament, like your Toasties, who did miss a cut last year, Potgieter was another one until his final meltdown in the first few holes in round 4, playing in the final group that he actually had it going pretty nicely, then ended up winning in Detroit a year ago. Houston's another one, so ball speed is something that we should be looking at. You can find everything off the tee, everything through. You can find your average shot distribution at this course. Not a whole lot. You can see here the 5-year average is below average on 50 to 100 yards. You can see where it really kind of rates out a little bit more, the 5-year average and even last year versus everything. Where does it actually kind of place to average a lot of the time? You can see the total shots from 200 plus yards is just above PGA Tour average. If we go to, let's see, total 150 to 175, a little bit above. Total from 175 to 200, a little bit below. But you're going to want to be playing with your long irons pretty well here and be smashing it off the tee, because you see that off the tee here, the driver percentage, if we can find that, we got distance, good drive percentage, driving accuracy, fewer drives at 320 yards, driving accuracy, you can see 51%, well below the 60% on average and 49.6% a year ago. So it was a big drop off from 2024, 2025, mainly because the conditions played a little bit more difficult over the weekend. You can see this is the Genesis Invitational from last year. We don't want to look at that. That was a signature event. I mean, you can look at it if you want, but here's what happened a year ago at this event of just the South Course for strokes gained. Overall, obviously, Harris English beat Sam Stevens and Andrew Novak. Chris Ventura was there, Sung J M, Hayden Springer, Taylor Pendrith, Will Gordon. So a lot of bombers once you get past like the Novaks and Harris Englishes of the world. I'm guessing they gained a ton putting. Let's say, yeah, Harris English 3rd in putting, 7th in approach. That's a pretty handy trick if that's the way that you want to go. And see that Novak and Sam Stevens all finished inside the top 11. Strokes gained off the tee was not high for Venture, but one of the bigger hitters that's out there because accuracy ended up meaning so much more last year with the longer rough and the conditions and so few people actually hitting the fairway. Let's see, Will Gordon, another bomber. Pendrith, another bomber. KH Lee. Damon is obviously not. KH Lee is not, although KH Lee gained a bunch off the tee. This is a pretty bad field a year ago. Let's see, Keegan and Spawn tied for 15th. So did Ryan Gerard, who's really popped up in a lot of these tee to green fests and someone who's played really well in the bad conditions, as we've seen. We just saw that happen at the Sony Open. Potgieter was up there. Tricky Ricky Castillo. No one thing really leaps off the page here. Guys got it done in different types of ways. You can even see that tee to green ended up being the big thing when we search by tee to green. From a year ago, McGreevy and Lipsky ended up WD. It was Stevens, Pendrith, Hoffman, Sungjae, and Novak were your top 5. So that includes 2nd, 7th, 4th, and 3rd. Streelman ended up coming in 17th. Hideki just couldn't make a putt to save his life, but he was 7th in tee to green. Generally speaking, I feel like he does that pretty well here over time. If we take a look at Hideki and what he's been up to. We'll get into more players in a little bit. Just search his Torrey Pines and Farmers. Again, it's only going to be the South Course that we see, but if we go by Farmers, if I had a lisp, that's how I would spell it, but I don't, so that's the way it's going to go. He gained in 2023, but that is the only time he's gained on these greens anytime over the past 6 starts that he's made at this event. You can always click it over to total if you want as well. And he gained a ton that year. It's actually kind of shocking that he didn't win in 2023, gaining almost 6 strokes putting. He must have sucked at the North Course if these were his stats from that year. If we take a look from that year, what year was that? Is it the Homa year, the Patrick Reed year? That 2023 strokes gained. If we go to putting, just take a look. Keegan, this was the Hideki year. Max Homa ended up winning, so it must have been something weird happening with him at the North Course that year that just took him out of contention, which is really strange to see. You can see some of the former winners here. Oh, also, I don't even have the screen share. There we go. We can throw that up there for you. Thanks to everyone for being patient with us with Fantasy National. It was undergoing its big renovation last week. Hopefully it's back up this time around, but if not, support at fantasynational.com will get you the code if you didn't automatically transfer over to the rabbit hole before we can start having access to both the sites. I just wanted to throw that out there in case you didn't see the email, the tweets that went out, and thanks for everyone for understanding on that regard. It's tough to do. I don't know what the hell they do in the back end, but developers are moving at their pace. Was hoping to be a little bit better, but hey, here we are. Underdogs expanding the game. You already know their player picks. Pick higher or lower on player stats. Today, Underdog prediction markets are live in 25 states. Back your squad with spreads, handicap for closer game, or totals, higher, lower combined score, combined with player picks for bigger payouts. New customers play $5 on fantasy, get $75 in fantasy bonus entries. Code Mayo. Team picks, player picks, all on Underdog. Eat better. Train smarter. Maybe stop pretending frozen mystery meat is good enough. And honestly, starting strong is the easiest way when the food doesn't suck to get yourself ready to start the new year. That's where Omaha Steaks comes in. Premium, perfectly portioned protein shipped straight to my door. No guessing, no waste, just legit quality that actually fuels what you're trying to do. I loaded up on their USDA certified tender steaks and gourmet burgers, threw a couple fillets on the grill, which is out my back door, and there's not that much snow, so I can access it pretty easily. Salt, pepper, done, instantly tender. Way more flavor, better texture, zero stress compared to anything I've really cooked before. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with promo code MAYO at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code MAYO. Terms apply. See site for details. Let's go over to the rabbit hole and try to see what we got on the go. Does anyone have any models up here? Oh yeah, Noonan's got his model up here right now. We can take a look at what Noonan's up to and the players that he likes this week. And you can do this for anyone once you're in there, and you can view the filter. So let's see, strokes gained total at long and with long and very long rough. Time frame the last 2 years, just strokes gained. Course length, long and very long with long rough. So who's the best player there? Xander, Ludwig, Pendrith, McNeely, Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson, who's in the field. I don't know how many rounds that includes for him. Keegan, Mitchell. It's like Xander, Ludwig, and then a significant drop-off. And this is in Noonan's model. Then it goes to Pendrith, McNeely, a little bit of a drop-off. Keegan, Rasmus, Niergaard Peterson, Keith Mitchell, Harris English, Patrick Cantlay, Adam Scott, Seamus Power, JJ Spawn. So these are all like the plus players. There's Marco Penge. Pearson Cootie is someone I'm going to enjoy this week with his distance and his accuracy are the types of guys that I like to go with. Strokes gained total, just 2 years on long and very long from the golfers in the Farmers Insurance Open. So he's using a lot of strokes gained total stuff. I don't think that I am going to be going that way. One thing that I've already put into mine, and we can take a look at that right away, is the last 2 years strokes gained total at Houston, Mexico, CJ Cup, Detroit, and Farmers. So let's just go 50-50 on these two that I've put in. So it's ball speed from the last year and last 2 years. This won't be the just in general. I just want to see what this says. We'll call this Test Farmers because we'll add more to this as we go through. You can always find this in the Mayo Media newsletter as well, up at Betsperts.com. It's completely free to go use, and you can see the weights that I end up putting into it. So if we just use these two things, you can see guys that have had good run at this tournament in the past. Let's see, Potkeeter is up there. He was playing in the final group a year ago, and before having a bad final round. Jake Knapp was third here 2 years ago. Nikolai Højgaard, I believe, was second. Or was it Rasmus Højgaard, who was one of the Højgaards? Did it here? Let's see. Rasmus Højgaard or Nikolai Højgaard. Farmers. Yeah, Farmers. He has one appearance at this event. He came in second place. So overall, we're looking pretty good here. Tony Finau, Luke Clanton, who did WD with an illness at the Amex, so no word yet on whether or not he's going to come back. I mean, I don't hate this, honestly. If we just went by these two things, that this could work out pretty well for us here. Ludwig, Xander, Akshay, Goddard, Shank, Patrick Rogers, Kevin, Sexy Roy. All right, yes, Kevin Roy, good at these two events. Bad ball speed, though. You want to get the ball speed up there. Matt McNeely, Sam Stevens, Chris Ventura. I mean, this isn't just including what he's done at this course. So he's 19th overall. Let's see what Ventura has been up to, even at some of these other comp courses. If we can filter for, let's see, Houston, he was cut each of the past 2 years. That's good. Good for him. CJ Cup was cut. Maybe it is just this event. Detroit, T34, T21, Mexico, T25. And then at the Farmers, he was fourth a year ago, cut the year before that, and cut the year before that. So limited sampling from the past 2 years is pushing him up. He also has a really good ball speed, so that's helping him out. Who does have the best ball speed of all the players in this field? It's Potgeeter, Penge, and Penge is going to get pushed down because he has no history at any of these events. Sargent, Lamprecht, both of the Højgaards. Michael Brennan, Wyndham Clark, and Goddard, Jake Knapp are probably the types of guys you want to start looking for here. Obviously, Brennan doesn't fit the mold of being a guy that has ever played this course before because you want to have that previous top 10 at this course over the course of your career. Just, 14 of the past 17 guys who've won here have done that. However, it's looking pretty good for him, maybe one of these first-time guys who can get it done at this course. Vegas is another guy who's had good run at this course over the years. I believe he has a second-place finish. Johnny Kiefer is another one. Pendrith, we were all on Pendrith for this tournament, either last year or it was the Genesis last year. He worked his way back inside the top 10 of this tournament, but to close out last year, can't remember how he did the Genesis, but he didn't win. That I know. Brooks is still up there with ball speed. Ball speed for my main man, the Indian-Canadian guy. That guy, he's up there. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. Vince Whaley's ball speed is actually much better than I would have ever expected. It's going to be a Kevin Yu course as well. He WD'd from the Sony pre-event, but I don't really remember what happened to him after that. No idea if he's played this tournament well ever in his career. Oh, good Lord, what did I just do? Let's click off that. We'll share that tab instead. Go back to Kevin Yu. Try to figure out what Kevin Yu is up to in this event. Funny, Vince Whaley, he had the big round to open the Amex, and then they put him at, I think it was La Quinta, and he absolutely sucked. Classic stuff whenever you have a long shot on the card. Kevin Yu hasn't done much playing over the last little bit. How's he done at Farmers? He was cut a year ago, but sixth the year before that. If we take a look at him in Detroit, T31, CJ Cup, T29 and cut. Houston, T18, all right, in his only start, and that was a year ago. So playing pretty well at some of the other places. Mexico Open is another spot. It's now in the fall swing part of the season, but it's just another, basically places where you can grip it, rip it, and guys don't hit every fairway. You can miss where you want. That's sort of the logic behind using those courses for off the tee type stuff. Maybe you don't even want to see results. I mean, it probably doesn't hurt to see results at some of those places, but just even using off the tee at some of those locations is probably where you want to be. I am going to put in off the tee. We'll go last 8-9 months or so, going back to where we've been. Goddard's the best in the biz, so it should be no shock that he plays well here. Michael Brennan, if you go on average, is the best player. So Brennan Penge, who else we got here? Brennan Penge on average per round. Goddard, Pearson, Cootie, David Ford doing most of that, although he is slightly above average in distance. He's not big off the tee like these other guys. Brennan, Penge, Goddard, Cootie, all over 307 yards off the tee. It's now dropping 10 down to David Ford. There's Thorbjornsen, there's Knapp, there's Christoph Reiten. Don't know what happened to Reiten at the Sony when he was the world's worst player, but it's just hilarious to take a look at his stats from that tournament. Lost almost 5 strokes. This is per round, by the way. These aren't his totals in his 2 rounds. Let's go to his totals in his 2 rounds here. Lost 6.5 strokes putting, 4 strokes chipping, 5.7 ball striking, 4.7 on approach. Only lost just under 1 off the tee. So that's always great to see. Almost 10 strokes tee to green in 2 rounds. That is abysmal. I don't know. First tournament jitters as a member of the PGA Tour. Wouldn't hate going back to him. It's no different than the Nico situation where he sucked at Sony. No one wanted to play him at the Amex, and through 2 rounds at least, is doing pretty well. Who else we got up here? We got Jake Knapp, Thorbjornsen, Reiten, Svensson, that's Jesper Svensson, Rico Hoey, who's had a bad go of it at the Amex, Kevin Yu, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, there's Potgieter, Adam Scott. Don't really remember how Adam Scott played at Sony. I assume not well since I don't remember. T40, actually not bad. Kind of what you would want to see. Pretty good on approach, pretty good, really good off the tee. Lost almost 2 strokes putting and 2 strokes chipping, which has been kind of his thing lately. Although when you take a look at the near to long term for him, his putting really flipped over the past 75 rounds, although all rounds in his career, very good. Past 200, a quarter stroke per round, so that's a stroke per tournament if he makes the cut. The chipping had been pretty good. I feel like over the years, he has contended at these events, and I think his POA putting historically has been very good. Nope, wrong on that. He has won at Riviera. POA Travalis, he's been a lot better on. But he's been so swingy over the course of his career that he was a great putter, then he was abysmal for years, then he switched to the long putter and got really good. He's played the Farmers. He doesn't play the Farmers all that often. He played it in 2021 and 2019, a T10 and a T2. I mean, we start to think about, 2021, not that long ago, 5 years ago, half decade ago. Adam Scott was a different player then. I think he won at the Riviera in 2020. That may have been his last win as well, but gained well on these greens, and that's, again, total over 3 each of the time. So maybe he does have a bit of a penchant for putting on these surfaces, or maybe he does have that muscle memory that we're looking for from Adam Scott. Still gaining a bunch off the tee, though, in strokes per round. Ludwig, Xander, Keith Mitchell. There's Tricky Ricky Castillo, popped up T15 a year ago. Zal lost in the playoff. That was one of the better sweat-free weeks ever, where we had, who was it? Luke List in the playoff, beating Will Zalatoris. Having 2 guys in a playoff is usually pretty good. McGreevy, I remember McGreevy, I think he's doing all right at Amex. Not that I'm taking a whole bunch of Amex into it, but at Sony, albeit a very short course, didn't gain a bunch off the tee, but gained a bunch on approach. Ended up being cut. How has he done at the Farmers over the years? Farmers for McGreevy, WD, and cut in 2022. Back to the strokes gained off the tee. Again, just distance-wise. We sort by distance in this field. I mean, it's hilarious that Lamprecht can gain so much off the tee, yet, lose strokes. I mean, it's only in 4 rounds. And he did not play very well at Sony. Garrick Higo, 306 yards off the tee, but still doesn't gain a ton, and that's over 36 rounds. What are we looking at here? Yeah, past 9 months. We can click this button on the rabbit hole as well. It hides the salary before it's out if we're trying to look at it. Penge doesn't have a bunch. So Nikolai, Michael Brennan, Jesper Svensson, there's Goddard. A lot of the guys with a very high ball speed are going to be up there. Wyndham Clark, if you believe in a Wyndham Clark rebound, this could be a very nice week for him. He opened at 80-1 last week, and he'll probably be right around those odds this time around as well. So we don't just want to focus on all the distance guys. This is mainly for showdown in the first round. But if you're looking at the top 40 type players this week, this would be a spot I would go to. So DD, driving distance, 9 months. And we'll throw that into the model that we're looking at. You can also find some of the accuracy guys who gain really well off of the tee. So you have, here it's Hirata in only 4 rounds, but David Ford in his 30. Man, Michael Brennan's shaping up to be a good play this week. I don't know what the hell he's doing. At Amex, he was terrible at Sony, but this could be a nice spot for him. Just grip it, rip it, and hit some fairways. But accuracy plus off the tee guys, David Ford, Michael Brennan, albeit only 18 rounds for Michael Brennan. Kanaya, Aaron Rise had a few good turns at this tournament in the past. That could be a spot to look at. Griot, Max McGreevy, as mentioned before. Kim, Zalatoris, Thorbjornsen. And again, these are just accuracy plus strokes gained off the tee guys. Rico Hoey, Eckroat, Ryan Gerard, Luke List has been a winner here. It's funny to see Luke List driving distance way down, considering he used to be like the guy in driving distance. Not so much anymore when you get a little bit older. Doug Gim, Kevin Roy is another one. Lee Hodges, we saw his name pop here a year ago. These are very minimal gainers off the tee in strokes gained, but very good in terms of accuracy. Davis Thompson is another one. Davis Thompson basically had the Genesis 1. I think it was Davis Thompson a year ago, and then maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Mav McNeely. Now I can't remember. But Ludwig stormed the castle on both of them, and it just went bananas on the back nine to win that signature event. Let's go to just strokes gained overall. We go last 9 months, and we can throw in some of the other stuff that Noonan put in when you go to filter by conditions. You can have, let's see here. You can go long courses. That's just there aren't that many long courses is the thing. If we go to long, you can go course length. We'll go long to very long, and we'll just hit apply on that because I think that is something that we should take in consideration. And we'll go the past 18 months overall. And you can see that some guys, strokes gained total for Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson, 10 strokes. He's going to be a very popular bet this week. Haotong's interesting here because Haotong sprays the ball everywhere, and this might not be that bad of a place to be doing it. And you see Kevin Roy up there as well. Yeah, you can see when Scotty Scheffler's not playing. Long courses total. And we'll go past 18 months. We'll throw that in. Don't want to throw too much in here and make it overwhelming because this is just going to be V1. I've been making a new one with Keith because Keith was on the grounds for this course every Wednesday morning. I think our one for the American Express is doing all right. If we go to, expert models, Pat and Keith, Amex. I only have 2 rounds of data to go on, and you can slick that back over to the American Express. See how our power rankings did. Henley, Scheffler. Okay, Scheffler's winning, so that's good. Henley's in 12th. I think Griot is up there. Cooch had a really nice round 2. No word on him. Putnam shot a 60 in round 2. The Smother Man is up there. McCarty's inside the top 5. Nico's having a nice rebound. Don't think Berger's playing that well. Fowler, Si Woo is in second, so not bad. So a lot of the guys near the top. A lot of the names that you would expect to do there, but Putnam, Smotherman, and Kuchar and Griot all playing all right as well. So interesting to see that maybe Keith is onto something because Keith is not thinking about it from so much of an analytical type of view. He's thinking about when he's out walking the course, how does it feel to him? What really kind of makes its way through that course? What do you need? And when the conditions change, can we take a look at that as well? So I believe that I threw those in to see. We got driving distance and strokes gained total. Probably doesn't hurt to just see who's playing good golf. So we can go to reset filters to make sure we're cleared out on everything. You can always look at recent form as well under the recent form tab if that's the way that you want to look. You get your strokes gained on average. This goes all the way back to the Bay Current at the moment. So strokes gained average per round over all of those events. It is, going back to Marco Penge at probably the PGA Champion or the British Open at that point. Same as Nørgaard Peterson, Spawn, Hideki, Xander, Cantlay, Mav McNeely is what we're looking at for some of these guys. And obviously we don't have the Amex stats in because the Amex isn't over as we're going through this. And you can always see the grid of how guys are doing it. So we have Goddard with his win. Who else had played some pretty decent golf? Knapp had been playing some pretty decent golf coming in. He lost on approach during the Sony. That's not to be It's not crazy considering he's not a great approach player to begin with, but you can see his Farmers history. He has the T3 and he was T32 last year, gained on approach in both, lost off the tee, but has putt really well in both runs here. Had a top 3 at the 3M Open, at the Rocket Classic, he was T4. Some of the other comp events was T11 at Sony despite losing on approach, but the driver's back. Maybe he can start making some putts again. Probably in good shape to do some damage at Cognizant, but even for this event, if you can catch Knapp at 80 plus, maybe even 100 plus, depending on the place that you look, could be a really nice spot for him. So we're going past 18 months. We'll go, let's go past 6 months. It's not giving us a ton to work with here, especially from the top names. Hey, Cam Young's in the field. Good for Cam Young. Let's put in just SG total. We'll call this recent form and add that in as well. If we go to our bigger approach ranges, so approach proximity, overall approach proximity, because with only half the guys hitting the fairway, it's going to be from everywhere. You could take a look at long, although when you long rough, but it wasn't so much the case last year, but it especially sticks out the year that Mark Leishman ended up winning only because he was driving the ball so far off path that he was hitting it into the spectators. So he was hitting it into the rough, but it was all the trampled down rough. So he kept generating great lies out of the rough, then making every 11-foot putt. Remember it very vividly because I had a bunch of chasers going against Leishman and he just couldn't miss. If you're looking for like historical comps where guys have won at different places, Bay Hill isn't a bad shout for this course. Just, classical designs, longer rough, more difficult courses. Who has won them both? Leishman's won them both. Jason Day has won them both. I can't remember who won last time. Scotty's not in the field, but Scotty's been dominant at that course. Kitayama is someone you could look at. He's won at Bay Hill over the years. Rory's won here. Obviously, he's not in the field, but a decent spot to look at if you're looking for the higher end comps versus some of the lower end comps that I have been looking at throughout the course of this show. Let's take a look at 175 to 200 is not a bad spot. Just 200 overall. Don't go with Pontus Nyholm. He sounds like a made-up Greek character. I mean, it sounds like a Swedish last name. But Pontus sounds like the most Greek name I've ever heard. But it's like Yuswas Ardiwo. You might want to check Greektown. But 200 to 250 overall, a lot of par threes in this distance. We're still looking at the past 6 months. Let's go over the past 18 months to see who's been better from that territory. And who are the best players in this range? 2 rounds, and we'll cap the rounds here. We'll say we want at least 20 rounds to deal with from that range. And we got Ludwig, Gerard, Xander, Hideki. Now we're talking some of the better players in the field. Novak. So you have Ludwig, who won at this tournament last year. Gerard, who snuck his way inside the top 15 at Farmers. Xander, who was very competitive at a U.S. Open here. Hideki, we just saw. Very good tee to green. Can't putt at this course. David Ford, this we do not know. Nikolai Højgaard ended up with the second place finish in his debut. Novak was inside the top 3 last year. We got Eckroat. I wouldn't really jam on Eckroat in that spot. Adam Svensson, Griot, Kevin Yu. Starting to like Kevin Yu a little bit. We kind of want to see how he does. Let's just say proximity 200 to 250. Let's generate some results on this and build a model out. We're just going to call it V1. And we'll come up with something better later on. We'll call it Tori V1 from the research show. Probably don't want to weight those all at 50%. Don't want to weight a lot. You know what? Actually, I'm going to throw in bogey avoidance as well. If we go to scoring, just guys that are good at scrambling. I did mention around the green. We should probably chuck that in as well. On the rabbit hole, we do have these cool things where you can go scrambling from the rough, scrambling from the short grass, sand saves, around the green proximity in the short grass. There's lots of different stuff here if you really want to go through everything. We'll add in around the green. What do I got here? Last 18 months? Yeah, long term. Around the green, long term. We'll throw that in, and we'll use either scrambling or we'll go to scoring. Bogey avoidance, we'll throw in, we'll go past a year. Really shrink the sample here. Past 12 months, bogey avoidance. Past 12 months, bogey avoidance. That says biggie, but, can't you see that it's supposed to say bogey? We'll throw that in. Now we'll try to create a model and see what it gives us. Hopefully it's someone who's good. The comp courses will go 10%. Ball speed will go 10% because we also have driving distance in here as well. We'll go 10% on that. And driving distance correlates a lot with ball speed anyway, so we are overweighting that off the tee. Long courses will go 15%. Bogey avoidance, 10%. Long-term around the green, 10%. That key approach range, recent form, will go 15%. That gives us another 9 to throw around. We'll say the long course, we'll go 15 on the past 2 years of the comp courses, and then we'll bump up past 12 months of bogey avoidance just to see what it says. I'll save this if you want to take a look at it, and we'll call this Tory V1. We'll say it's from the show if you want to use that. From the show. And just see who it spits us out. Let's see here. Who do we got? Xander, number 1. All right, that's good news for this one. You can always change your salary. Obviously, the salaries aren't out yet, so that's not something that we should really be looking for. But we got Xander, Vince Whaley, okay, Garrick Higo, Chris Goddard, Ludwig, Sexy Roy, Takumi Kanaya, and then Hideki. Those are all the players. It's not a big gap here because it gives you an actual total rating as well. So 70 to 75. Not one player leaps off the board. When we took a look at Ryan's from earlier, I think that Xander rated 91 in his overall. So this gives us a more balanced look at some of the players that are here. So those are all the players above 70, the top 8 in the rankings. After that, we're going to Jake Knapp, Siwoo, Rogers, Mav, Harris English, Thorbjorn Olesen, Nikolai Højgaard, Michael Thorbjornsen, and none of the data from the Euro Tour is in here. So Thorbjorn's playing overseas right now. The Højgaards are, one of the Højgaards is at least. Obviously, I believe it was Nikolai who almost won the DP World Tour Championship a year ago, where Rasmus won it 2 years ago. Cam Young rates out a lot worse than I would have expected. Cam Young's going to be a super popular. People are betting him to win the Masters. Of course, they're going to bet him here. Smalley having a bad week at the Amex. That's okay, though. Noren, Thorbjornsen, Chris Ventura, Keegan Bradley, Aaron Rye, Ricky Castillo, Stevens, Pierce, and Goody. There is Kevin Yu, Ryan Gerard, Matt Wallace, Patrick Cantlay, Stephen Fisk. Kevin Roy is very interesting to me, though, because he kept popping up. Popping up as number 6 here, just behind Ludwig. Kanaya, I still kind of want at shorter courses. You can see distance and ball speed are just so down for him. It's very similar situation for Kevin Roy, just not as bad. If we just take a look again at those ball speed distance guys, you see Xander, Higo, Goddard, Ludwig, Jake Knapp, Patrick Rogers to a lesser extent. He's kind of like the minor league version. Nikolai Højgaard, Thorbjornsen, Ventura is kind of a step down. Cam Young rates out really well there. Cootie, Cantlay is kind of the minor league version. Ditto with Kevin Yu. Pendrith is a high version. Wyndham Clark is a high version. Grazerman's interesting. He should be good here, but he's fucking Grazerman, so who knows with that guy. Jesper Svensson rates out really well in those two things in particular. Nowhere else does he rate out well. Keith Mitchell and Adam Scott both kind of do the same thing. There's Rasmus Højgaard, really good. Matty Schmidt, pretty good. Steven Yeager was a top 5 finish at this event in the past. That was 2 years ago. Pretty good. Woodland, pretty good. Woodland, who's, I believe, lost in 2 playoffs here. Potgieter, Danny Walker, who was the first-round leader at the South Course a year ago. Salinda would be another one to look at. Johnny Vegas from down the list. These are all down the list guys. Toasty helped me win $20K last year. That's very nice of him. He rates out well. Phillips, Marco Penge, Gordon Sargent. These are all in limited rounds. That's why they're not ranking very highly. Michael Brennan, very much the same way. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. Maraju. Dave Smith from Canada here. Let's come up with a nickname. Shashana. Sure, Rico is going to annihilate me for these terrible pronunciations of Indian names. But here we are, Johnny Kiefer. But again, limited sample for a lot of these guys. But in the ball speed distance categories, Lamprecht is another one. Brooks is another one. And those are the kind of guys that you probably want to be targeting for both the overall tournament and in showdown purposes is pretty much what I would expect. Time to guess the odds for the Farmers Insurance Open. Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, and Cam Young. I think are going to be your big 3 at this event. Xander's going to get all of that pub just from being Xander and see if he's back. He did win the Bay Current during the swing season, so he is kind of back, if that's where we're looking at first start of the season. For him, I think he'll open at around 12 to 1. Ludwig will be 12 or 14, and Cam Young will be 14 or 16. Those are going to be your big 3. Then you're going to get a little bit of a gap, and then a drop down to the 20s. You're looking at Hideki, Goddard, Cantlay, Harris English, JJ Spawn, maybe Mav McNeely. A lot of these guys from last year, you had McNeely coming in second at the Genesis. Cantlay was there, not Cantlay, sorry. You have Harris English, who won this event a year ago. Hideki, who plays it a ton. Goddard rates out perfectly, and he just won. He might actually get bumped up above and be in that Cameron Young spot. I don't think he has as much cachet as Cameron Young, but I thought that would be very interesting if he ended up there. Then you're into your like Norins. Hell, who else do we got here? Norin, Ryan, Gerard. Brooks is going to be the interesting one. What is Brooks going to open at? If you're watching this, drop it in the description if you're watching it before the odds actually open anywhere, because I have no clue where they're going to list him at. I'm gonna guess it's more ungenerous than generous, because with Phoenix next week, he will be overvalued there at a place he's won 2 or 3 times in his career. A happy place for Brooks Koepka. But here, I have no clue what we'd be looking at. I'm going to guess he opens at 40-1. And I doubt that anyone bets him, and then he ends up at like 65 by the end. Then people will buy it back, and he'll drop back down to like 50-1. He'll close at 50-1. I think he'll open at 35 or 40, but he'll be behind the Mav McNeelys and Alex Norins of the world. No clue what to do with like Penge, Kiefer, Brennan. I'm hoping these guys all just open really deep. I would bet them at really deep prices. And when I'm talking deep, I'm talking 80-1 and beyond this week. If you can catch a good number on those guys at open, I would anticipate all of them will get bet down at some point. All of the higher end, younger bombers are probably where you want to be looking at for the long shots this week. Knapp would be another one. Penge, even Wrighton coming off the bad week. You might catch an awesome number on him. Both the Højgaards. Like the Højgaards could be anywhere from 35-1 open to 80-1 to open. It's just, it all depends on where they want to move the needle near the top here. But Xander, Ludwig, Cam Young, maybe Goddard are looking like your big 4 for this tournament, and hopefully they can suppress the odds of everyone else in that mid-range. Honestly, I don't hate Goddard once again at this course. I didn't have him at the Sony. Obviously, this would have been a spot where I would have really liked him. We're going to get much worse odds because of the win already, but still rates out excellently for this course. Reminder, smash the like, sub to the channel for Mayo Media Network. If you want to do some extra work, you can get yourself over to Apple or Spotify, leave a 5-star review over there. Hit the description. You can sign up for the free Mayo Media newsletter, and this preview article will be sent directly to you when it is out, and you can find it at betspertsgolf.com. If you're just searching around the web, it'll be free up there as well. Rabbit Hole for all your stats and info, and more of the merger will take place between Fantasy National and Rabbit Hole the more we move forward. So again, sorry about that. Thank you for your patience on the matter. If you're looking for the free sign-up code because yours isn't working with your Fantasy National membership, go to support at fantasynational.com and they will send you that weekly code until everything is sorted out. All right? Thanks for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!